Outside of using the Vengeance sound packs, Sylenth 1 was the go-to for electronic music. In this video, I'm going to make an electronic track using Sylenth 1. So they had those like presets where if you started off with these, you would get that keygen music type of sound. Like that's keygen type music. But once you moved into the Hoovers, some call that like Reese sounds, and then you go into the keyboard sounds. Okay, so you can use different presets here. We can try different leads. Now for me, I like the sound design inside of Sylenth more than I like to pick presets. So up top you have 2 oscillators per part. So you have part A, part B. So you have 2 oscillators per. So really it's 4 oscillators. You have 2 filters you could use, a quick little mixer, and then basically envelopes you can use over top of all the stuff above. So let's start from scratch. Let's go to the menu. Let's go to, there's even different skins now that they've updated. So this skin is a little confusing. Let's go to the default. Okay, so here's the default. Let's go to menu. Let's go to, how do we initialize? I forgot. Let's go to preset, clear, initialize. So now we start with a typical sawtooth. So you can do a lot with a sawtooth. A lot of people underestimate what you can do with a sawtooth. So firstly, let's write a melody in a sawtooth, and then we'll start to design the sound. We're at 120 BPM. So let's do like a bouncy dun 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 dun. So we're just doing a little half step here, which is 1 note directly to the note above. And from F sharp to B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 semitones. That's the perfect fourth. Okay, so we're going to copy that 4 times, and at the 4th time, we're going to change something about it. Then we'll do an octave. Dun, dun. Okay, so now we need bounce to the sound. It's cool the way it is, but let's design a curvature to it and then a bounce. So to create a curvature, we need to assign a low pass filter to the sound. And then tell this cutoff envelope to move over time using what's called a mod envelope. We'll select the destination here as the filter cutoff A, and then tell the max amount to be that. And then we're going to give it a curvature over time. So we're shaping the filter envelope here. And then we're going to set the cutoff filter to its lowest value. Let's give it a little release so it has more of a bounce. So now that we have some like a pluck type sound to it, we can add more resonance to add like a lasery sound. Okay, so now we need some bounce. Let's add some delay. It also has built-in reverb. And let's add a compressor to turn up these levels a bit. And now we have a basic sound. Now we can also layer the sound. So let's start layering the sound. So firstly, you could turn the voices up to 8 to create a more detuned sound, and then detune the voices. Now we feel the sound's getting bigger. Let's add a sub oscillator. Let's add voices here to oscillator 2 and lower the octave here. Now we have a nice full sound. Okay, and now you have up top what's called the amp envelope. So you could use this to override, actually filters override the amp envelope, but you could also shorten the sound this way. What I'm going to do is hit Control L, send this to the mixer. We're going to use a free plugin called OTT. This is going to squash the sound a little bit more. And that's the EDM sound, pretty much. In short, it's about that additive sawtooth, and then we're using subtractive filtering to pull back some of the harmonics. Now, without changing the sound, what we could do is automate some of these values. So let's move this knob here, the cutoff A knob, go to the dropdown, go to browse parameters. And here we can create an automation clip for the thing that we just moved. So in this case, it's called the mod envelope 1 destination. Let's right click and create an automation clip. So what I'm doing over time is I'm going to lower the cutoff amount so it sounds more muffled in the beginning, and then we'll open up. Okay, so that was a negative value, so we need to make sure it's a positive value. So let's go here. So it has to be above 50%. And now the sound is moving without adding more melody. It's just expressing through the filter. Let's find some loops in the Vengeance kits. Okay, so let's drag this in. I don't know what tempo this is. It doesn't label it. We're going to double click, go to mode, stretch mode, and then turn up the time knob. So EDMs, you got to think like a DJ when it comes to EDM. It's not about adding things. Sometimes it's about changing something. So DJs love their effects, like high pass filtering, all that type of stuff to create movement in the sound. So when you're, stuck with your EDM arrangements, don't try to add new stuff. Like figure out a way to express the thing a little bit more clearly. So let's add a filter at the end. We already have a vibe just with these two things. Now I'm gonna do some more sound design here. Now I don't think this has FM synthesis, but it'd be dope if it did. Let's add another voice under oscillator B. Now we need to send this to oscillators part B and A. Actually, never mind, let's just copy. I think there's a way that, you can copy, I forgot. So if you go to part A, you can copy to filter B so that you have the same setting. I'm going to do the same thing with the filter here. So now we're adding more tones with the saw teeth. So now we're just thickening up the sound here. You can add octaves, you can do a bunch of stuff. Let's copy the amp envelope over. Okay, let's add even though we already have a bass, let's add one more sound. Okay, now here we can get really into the weeds, but let's use a sine wave and then a sine wave. We're gonna make like a pulse wave lead. We're gonna offset, it's called, with the phase to use what's called pulse wave modulation here. And let's add mono legato and add a ton of delay and reverb. Let's compress this sound here. Let's hit Control L. We're going to send this to the mixer and then add that OTT for that final EDM type of touch. Then we can pull back some of the reverb. So I'm just going to play notes and then we'll shape the sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it has reverb, we don't have to play a bunch of notes. Dun, dun. So you can do a lot with the reverb. Dun, dun. Then we'll shape the sound. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so again, think bright sounds and then how do you pull back the sound using filtering. So we're gonna move a little bit quicker here because this is kind of arbitrary, but let's do a bandpass filter. can also add drive to the filter. Let's do a low pass actually, and then let's add an envelope. Let's do cut off A movement. Let's give it a quick little decay curvature. To add like a brassy tone, you could add a little text. You can also multiply the filter amounts using these knobs here. So now we're more of like a brass tone. Let's drop this down an octave. I forgot too, in the top left, you have polyphony. So if you're playing chords, you want to turn that polyphony up. And now we're shaping that harmonic content. And another cool thing you could do, now we're going to do like a cheat sheet way of doing this, but you could add sidechain, EQ, or sidechain compression. We're going to use Kickstart. So that is a pulsating. Let's see if we can add like a vocal chop in here somewhere.
Be prepared.
Face, of course.
Break it up.
Come with me.
Do you like
Acid rock. I love it to the bone.
His name symbolized and no
any opposition? Rock the bills.
But
Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on!
let's add another bass in here and then we'll finish this track out. Okay, so it's all about automation. As you can see, we only have really like two instruments playing. It's all the reverb, the delay, and the automation. Okay, let's initialize this sound here. We're going to create the same thing, which is a sawtooth starting out, a filter over the sawtooth, giving it an envelope, and this will shape the sound. So we'll have it go like wow. And then drop the octave. Let's compress this. And if you wanted it wider, you could add more voices and detune. That way it has a little more width to it. Let's see how this fits in. Now, I might have to turn off the sub in the first sound. Take it back to one voice. Let's add an EQ. We need to boost the lows. I forgot we're going into a compressor, so that compressor is kind of limiting.
Come on.
Now OTT kind of thins it out. So in this case, I just want the bass to be more rounded.
Come on.
This might be able to sit underneath that original sound. Okay, so instead of me adding instruments or taking the entire instrument away, I'm just adding a lower filter so they don't fight at the end here for that space. So as you can see, you can get pretty far with a couple things and silent.
Come on.
So that's how far you can get with 3 sounds. We made a bass sound, we made like a reverbed type of lead kind of, and then we made that main melody. So with 3 sounds, you can get pretty far, and then 1 drum break or drum loop. Pretty simple. So if you want to learn more, go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. We have a sound design course, and you can learn more there. Peace out, guys. Subscribe if you're new. Peace.